Call the meeting to order. And do the pledge of flag first. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call.
Okay, today we have Ms. Gungeon.
Present.
Mr. Sebald is absent and has let me know. Ms. King,
Present.
Mr. Dawson,
Present.
and Mr. Johnson.
Present.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
Okay, we need an approval of the minutes for the November 12th meeting.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Old business. Anything under old business? Okay, we'll go into the first appeal, which had been tabled, number 5, and I'll turn that show over to you, darling.
Okay, Mr. Green, would you like to come up to the stand? Give them the rest of it. This was an appeal that we heard on October 8th of 2024, appeal number 13313 by Aaron Green. Oh, right at that podium there. Thank you. This is concerning a property located at 2801 Holland Street with an index number 18-5082-226. It's located in an R1A traditional single-family residential zoning district. The appellant is requesting a use variance and a dimensional variance for proposed two-family dwelling. Per section 204.2 of the City of Erie zoning ordinance, the two-family dwellings are not permitted uses in R1A districts. Per 205 of the ordinance, the minimum lot area per family is 6,000 square feet in an R1A. The property is currently non-conforming with 3,400 square feet in lot size. 1,700 square feet per family is proposed.
Mr. Green, you need to get sworn in by the stenographer. Now raise your right hand.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I swear.
Okay, Mr. Green, you can go ahead and give us your pitch.
All right. So I don't know what all was addressed in the.
Make sure you're talking to that microphone, okay?
All right, for sure. So yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I know I watched some of the video there. I know that the prompt, what I had typed up was read to you guys as well. I don't know if you guys recall the details there, but yeah, I wanted to add just some of the details on the property that give me the reason, or that lead me to believe that it's appropriate for the property to be converted to a duplex. So there were the multiple mailboxes on the premises. The doors had access. There was even some plumbing already laid out for the 2-unit. So, I mean, some of it's a little bit, the house inside is a little bit dilapidated, but you can see that the process or some of it was already there, and then someone else was coming back and redoing some of the plumbing there. But I also wanted to address just the space issue was another issue that was talked about. I know there's like a lack of space, and that's something that the city ordinance requires, is more space for any unit that's multi-unit family or multi-family home. But being that the area is fairly close to a lot of parks, I feel like that would give my tenants access to recreational space. Another thing I wanted to address as well is just, I think it's important. I know there's other houses up and down the street or in the same area that are already multi-units, and I don't think they're going about it properly, but I think that it should be done properly, and I think that there should be 2 panel boxes to make it easier for in the future, if there's any electrical issues, that an electrician can easily access and pinpoint what they're working on. And inside the unit, there would be 2 panel boxes so that each unit would be, the electrician would be able to address any issue properly inside the unit. I didn't have anything else in particular I wanted to address, but if there were any questions, I could definitely answer that.
From the last meeting, you had some outstanding quality of life tickets that were to be addressed. Have those been satisfied?
Yes, those have been taken care of.
And I can confirm, I'm sorry, I can confirm that.
Yeah, I actually had some change of address as well, just the Erie redevelopment was reaching out to me, but I've kind of been in a transitional period, moving, and so the mail was going to some property that I had in Las Vegas.
Selena, Ed?
And where are you currently with the renovations that your property manager had spoken of at the last meeting?
Yeah. So I haven't been able to do what I wanted to do because I've been kind of stopped waiting on the approval here, because I don't want to, my contractors, I'd like to have them in there with the electrical so they can use power tools and so on. But the property's been cleared, some things have been cleared out. The space, if you look inside, is it's basically ready. So it's ready to do proper construction inside. There's all the junk has been cleared out. Was being cited for some of the junk that was left outside, but that's been cleared out as well. But yeah, I haven't made any major steps. I've been kind of just waiting to get some electrical on so I could kind of do some proper construction.
Mr. Green, my name's Art Martinucci. I'm the solicitor for the board. I just have a couple of questions for you. When somebody comes to the board with a request for a variance, it's not just an issue of whether or not we think that the person is going to do the things that they say that they do. When you're asking for especially a use variance, we have to go through a series of requirements that the Pennsylvania courts and Pennsylvania law require. And one of those is that you demonstrate some unreasonable hardship that prevents you from developing the property within the existing zoning ordinance. So right now, you're in an area that would allow a single-family home. What hardship would be imposed upon you in developing this as a single-family home? Why does it need to be a duplex?
So I believe that being that actually a lot of stuff has been done inside the property, I believe that it's be a bit of a backtrack to actually come back and try to remove some of the things that are there, some of the foundational stuff on the property that's kind of already set up for 2 families.
I had a question.
Go ahead.
Does it have access for the units? Second floor has egress on both sides?
So there's access to the back. The upstairs has access to the exterior through the outer door. But the plan was, I had spoke with my contractors as well, and the plan was to add an extra door space because I believe that the ordinances requires 2 exits and entries for both top and bottom.
So it currently doesn't have that?
No, it has just one exit and entry point for the upstairs.
Does it have, is it metered for 2?
No, it's not. Gas meter? Sorry.
Both? All 3?
Okay, so the panel box hasn't been properly set up. It had basically a layout for 2, but it was all on one box. And then there was, the gas is just 1 meter, if I'm correct.
And the water?
The water is, just 1.
So essentially, this is just a 1-unit building, and you'd like to convert it?
Yeah, so it's been used as a improper 2-unit, but I'd like to convert it to a proper 2-unit. That's what I'm going for here.
And
Selena, you have anything? Okay. Anything else, Laura?
Part of the conversation we had at the last meeting, which led us to table your appeal, was about access to affordable, accessible, safe housing in the city of Erie. The gentleman who came in your behalf the last time talked about that area having multiple two-family units. So that was part of the conversation that we were having as to having access to more than one unit there.
Anything else from up here? Anybody else here to speak on behalf in favor of the variance? Is there anybody else that would like to speak in favor of the variance? Anybody else that would like to speak in favor of the variance? Hearing none, anybody here oppose the variance? Is there anybody here that wants to speak to oppose the variance? Last call, anybody here that wants to oppose the variance? Okay, so far for that. Do you guys want to huddle up or you want to vote? You want to talk about it? Okay, we're going to take a break, recess for 5 minutes. Okay, we'll call the meeting back to order. I think we should call for a vote, and any comments after that can be given. So you can take the roll call for the vote.
Okay, Ms. Gungeon?
My vote is to deny.
Okay, Ms. Kay?
Deny.
Mr. Dawson?
deny.
And Mr. Johnson?
Deny.
Okay, I apologize, Mr. Ian, that has been denied. As we spoke on the break, we can talk about how to get those permits correctly for the single-family dwelling.
For sure.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Sure, and before you leave, a couple comments for you. Appreciate your patience while we worked through the issue, and part of the reason it took so long is we're kind of at odds with the zoning ordinance and the requirements for a variance in your situation, right? You've articulated in the individual who came prior to about the instance of duplexes in that area, right? And our desire to have more accessible single-family, multiple-family homes in the city of Erie is at odds with our requirements to grant a variance. Attorney Martinucci had asked you very pointed questions, right, which are the tenets then of the variance request. And the inability, unfortunately, to articulate how you would meet those requirements forces us then to have a denial in terms of the vote, whereas if we were able to vote whether we think it's a great idea, I think it would be unanimous that we would say yes, right? But we are unfortunately held to that standard, and the fact that you weren't able to articulate in what you've done with the property at this point, not able to articulate how you met those standards, leaves us with no choice in that regard.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Aaron, I'll be in touch. Thank you.
Okay, next appeal. Turn it over to you, Amy.
Okay, appeal number 13315 by Tim Zazula, Esquire, on behalf of Build Community Development Corporation, or Corp, I should say, excuse me. This is concerning a property located at 124 West 21st Street. Index is 19-6002-226, located in an RLB residential limited business zoning district. The appellant is requesting a dimensional variance for the proposed multifamily dwelling. Per section 205.2 of the ordinance, the required front yard setback on Peach Street is 13 feet, plus or minus 5 feet, which is approximately 210 feet that is being proposed. Per section 205 of the ordinance, the minimum lot area per family is 1,000 square feet, which would allow for a maximum of 44 dwellings. 50 dwellings are being proposed. And if you guys want to come up and present, I'll get your...
And before we get started, Mr. Chairman, I do have two relationships with Bill that are going to conflict me for today, so I'm going to recuse myself from this deliberation.
Okay. And Attorney Zazula, are there other members here that are going to speak?
Mr. Sanford is going to speak about the work that he did with regard to the development, and Mark Sepiel is
right.
also going to testify briefly.
Why don't we get those two sworn in now ahead of time? Raise your right hand and look at the stenographer.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, board members. My name is Tim Zazula. I'm here today on behalf of Build Community Development Corp. I have with me its executive director, Daria Devlin. And as you just heard, we're seeking two variance requests, and they're two-dimensional variance requests. The proposed use is a multifamily development. The property is in an RLB district. Multifamily uses is a permitted use, so we're good there. The development site is on 21st Street between Peach and Sassafras. And if you know where the old Erie School District Administration Building was at the corner of 21st and Sass, this is the property. I'm pointing to the old administration building here. And the property is what's depicted as Lot B. And this replot is in your materials. So Mike Sanford did a replot, and we really have 4 different tax parcel numbers. Build owns all the way from Sassafras to Peach Street. So Mr. Sanford's company performed a replot that's been approved, and it's going to create 2 lots. One is Lot A, where the existing administration building will be, and one is Lot B, which I'll call the development parcel. So the development parcel is actually 3 tax parcels and a part of a 4th tax parcel. And the development parcel starts in about midway between Sass and Peach and goes all the way to Peach Street, okay? And right now that property is vacant. The property on the corner of Peach Street is used for some parking by Dave Hallman Chevrolet. We're seeking 2-dimensional variances, I mentioned. And again, the use is a permitted use, so we're not here to talk about use. Mark Sepiel is with the ultimate developer of the site, so he's just going to kind of briefly tell you about what we propose, what kind of building we propose for that parcel. But I want you to remember this is a permitted use, so we're really just here on a dimensional variance. But we need 2 variances. This parcel is a corner parcel, so of course we have 2 front yard setbacks we have to abide by. We have to abide by a West 21st Street setback, front yard setback, and we do. We have no problem there. But on Peach Street, we do have a problem. On Peach Street, the problem is, and the hardship in this case, we're required to build right up close to Peach Street, okay, like the other buildings are on that street. However, there is a private deed restriction, okay, a restrictive covenant in an historical deed that prohibits any sort of construction within 50 feet of Peach Street. So we can't use that parcel without a variance. The parcel is neutralized without a variance. So that's the one dimensional variance that we're seeking, front yard on Peach Street. And the other dimensional variance we're seeking relates to density. We're seeking, the proposal is for a 50-unit multifamily development at the development parcel. And the property is a little over 44,000 square feet. So in accordance with the city's ordinance, 44 units are permitted. So we're seeking just 6 additional units. So that is a density variance, also a dimensional variance. I'm going to ask Mike Sanford to talk about what he did and kind of take you through the nuts and bolts and describe the irregularly shaped lot that creates the hardship that we're using to seek this variance. And then I mentioned Mark Sepiel. I'm just going to ask him a couple of questions so that he can kind of put some meat on the bones or some color to the picture so you know what we're proposing for this site. So I'm going to turn it over to Mike right now, and then we'll secondly go with Mark.
Good afternoon. My name is Mike Sanford. I'm I'm a surveyor and an engineer, and my address is 4721 Atlantic Avenue. And I prepared the lot line replot that was submitted here. This is an exhibit, it was in your package as well. We performed a survey, and as Mr. Zazula described, we broke it into two lots, Lot A and Lot B. But this Lot B, the subject property we're talking about today, is it has a stepped northern line. It starts off, it's only 67.5 feet wide at Peach Street, deep at Peach Street, and then widens as it goes further west. So the property that, Lot B that we're talking about today is 44,533 square feet, so a little more than 44,000 square feet. And this exhibit here documents the property's width and depth and acreage and size. And then Mr. Zazula has already described the two variances that are being requested today, the dimensional front yard setback from Peach and the minimum lot area or density. And Ms. Francis already explained that the setback from Peach Street, you look at the average building setbacks between 20th and 21st, and then your ordinance requires that to be averaged plus or minus 5 feet. But this deed covenant precludes that from being developed in that manner. So what we did is we have on this exhibit of the proposed development, we have the 50-foot setback shown on here paralleling Peach Street that's out in this current parking area. And unless a variance is granted for the dimensional setback from Peach Street, the property would not be able to be developed because it's too narrow, it's not deep enough at that particular location, 50 feet back from Peach. That's why we're requesting to move the building further west on the property where the property is deeper. And Mr. Zazula has already explained that we are compliant with the setback from 21st Street. This new building must and will be built plus or minus 5 feet of the existing setback of the former school district building. So we will be in compliance with that front setback. We're just asking for the front setback variance from Peach Street.
Let me ask you a question. Is that a rehab on that former school district building, or is that being raised?
No, the former school district building would remain, and it's on the adjacent property after this subdivision's done, so that's just on an adjoining property. Correct. And with respect to this, the dimensional setback for the density, as I put in my application, and you probably have read and will describe here, this northern property line is very irregularly shaped, and it has diminishing lot depth as you go east. As I mentioned before, this lot depth is only 67.5 feet deep along Peach Street, and here it's 135 feet deep. So as you look at the width of this property, I put in our application that more than 40% of the lot width has a reduced depth. And so that really presents itself as a unique piece of property. It's a dimensional, it's a hardship. It's one of the criteria that Mr. Zazula will go through later, is that the property has a uniqueness to it. It has something different about it. And this diminished lot depth is one of those hardships. And also, if you consider what the average depth of the lot is, I put this in our application, 67.5 here on Peach, and then a distance here and 135 here. The average lot depth, when you think about that, it's only 108 feet deep. So it is quite a bit smaller. It's almost 20% smaller than a normal lot would be. Normal lots in the city are 135 feet deep. So as I mentioned, our subdivision plan provides all those dimensions. And so as the lot sits, as the replot has done it, the lot's just a little more than 44,000 square feet, and that would allow 44 units by right, and 50 units are proposed. But again, we're suggesting today and presenting today that this is an irregular shallow depth lot, and it's eligible for a hardship.
There's parking on the west end of the old school district building.
There's parking on both the east and the west sides of that building, yes.
So you're going to have parking. How much parking on the east side of the school district building are you maintaining? Any?
None.
So the only parking that's gonna be is on the Sassafras Street.
It would be on the west side of the school district building for them to use, and they also have additional parking on the other side of Sassafras, which your ordinance does permit them to use because it's within a certain distance of the principal use. Yes, so the parking for Bill's building, the school district building, is compliant on its own. Correct.
Yeah, Chairman, if I may, the old administration building is going to remain as it is. And it's this structure right here. So the subdivision is going to create a new development lot from, just sort of the rear of the old administration building all the way to Peach Street. So the parking will be preserved around the old administration building. They have parking in the front, parking in the back. The proposed lot line is just to the east of the old administration building for this new lot, and it's vacant all the way to Peach Street, and that's the new development lot. The parking for the new development lot is going to be along Peach Street as is depicted in this plot plan.
Thank you.
And I just had one additional question, Mike, because I think you put it in the application, that if the lot were a traditional rectangle lot, how many units would we be permitted based upon that square footage?
I wrote that down. Oh, yeah, if the lot was rectangular, if the lot was fully rectangular, its width of 400 and some feet by 135, you would be permitted by right 55 units if it was a purely rectangular parcel instead of this reduced depth.
That's all. Thank you very much. And now I'm just going to ask Mark Scipio just a couple of questions, just to tell you a little bit more about the project and about his company. Mark, if you would. Sure.
Name and address?
Mark Scipio, 1236 Andrews Avenue, Lakewood, Ohio.
Okay.
44107.
Mark, can you tell the board a little bit about, I've referenced the fact that your company, CHN, is going to be the ultimate developer of the site. Can you tell the board a little bit more about your company and about the kind of projects it is involved in?
Yes, I'd be happy to. So again, I'm Mark Scipio. I'm the real estate market leader for Pennsylvania and Ohio for CHN Housing Partners. CHN Housing Partners is a 43-year-old nonprofit affordable housing development company. Our development team focuses on new construction of high-quality, affordable multifamily apartments, and we operate in Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Michigan. And altogether, our company serves over 60,000 households, has developed over 7,000 residential apartment units, and currently owns and manages over 2,500 residential apartment units. This proposed project would be new construction of a high-quality multifamily apartment building.
Thanks, Mark. And my only other question is that you heard the testimony, some discussion from me and the testimony of Mr. Sanford, that due to the uniquely shaped lot, the current zoning ordinance only permits 44 units, yet the application is for a 50-unit building. Why is that? Why do you need or want 50 units?
So there are two main reasons. The first is economic feasibility. For this project to be feasible, we really need a minimum of 50 units in order to achieve the efficiencies and economies of scale to justify our fixed construction costs, fixed site development costs, and fixed operational expenses for the project. And the second is community need. In our assessment, a building of this size is needed here to serve the community. We believe the city of Erie is in dire need of new, high-quality, affordable apartment homes. And really, we would like this project to be even larger than 50 units, but due to zoning constraints and site layout constraints in general, we're seeking approval for the 50-unit building.
And I think the board is aware of the dire need of affordable housing discussion. I mentioned that there was discussion in association with the prior application, and that's exactly what we are here to provide is affordable housing. Does the board have any questions for Mr. Scipio?
Selena? No? Ed?
Yes.
Okay.
What do you consider affordable housing? What's your definition of that?
Affordable housing, we use the federal low-income housing tax credit financing tool. And under that tool, which is administered by the states, it's a federal program that's administered by the states. So the state of Pennsylvania has this program, as do all states. And that program, you are allowed to go up as high as 80% area median income, and then all the way down to 20% area median income restrictions as a blend through the income averaging program. And that is the range of what's considered to be affordable housing. Lower at or lower than 80% is considered to be within the metrics of any federal LIHTC program to be affordable housing, so long as it's averaged with a lower income metric of 60, 50, 30, or 20% area median income.
And so give or take a dollar or two, what is the average rent going to be there then?
Well, so all of these units, 100% of these units, we are in conversations with the Housing Authority of the City of Erie and Erie County on what is called project-based vouchers. So those rents have not been established yet formally. There are rent reasonableness studies and HUD regulations that will guide what those rents are, but whatever the subsidy is, whatever it is, because it's project-based, Section 8, the resident themselves will pay no more than 30% of their adjusted gross income. So while the community is viable with the rental subsidy, the resident does not have to pay anything more than 30% of their adjusted gross income, whatever that may be. That's their portion, the renter paid portion of the overall rent charged. The balance would be paid for through the voucher, through the project-based subsidy.
And is that 50 units? All 50 units, or?
50 units, yes, 50 units.
And why? What is the cost that makes it unique so that you need 50 versus the 44 that you could actually put there without even coming to us?
So we have fixed construction costs. They're going to be fixed. It's going to be roughly the same size building, roughly the same, let's say, site development, some environmental remediation concerns. We have the same fixed cost associated with that site, regardless of how many units. So those costs are going to be what they're going to be, and the more that we can spread those costs across more units, that creates economies of scale. The other component that's really helpful is with the federal LIHTC program, there's a federal credit limit that different states impose. And what you always want to try to do, what you need to do in order to have viability for these very tight projects, is you need to optimize the amount of federal credits that you're getting. So the more units gets you more federal credits up to a limit. So you want to if you want to maximize your federal credits that are going to drive the investment of, in this case, what would be roughly a $24 million total development project, you have to have the maximum number of units you can put there up to the state's federal credit limit. Once you go beyond the federal credit limit, then it does no good to have more units. But to position yourself for viability, you want to reach that optimum level. And not just want, with these construction costs that we're facing today, you need to, in order to have a viable project.
What's the cost of a unit?
A cost per unit?
Yes.
For total construction, I believe it would be roughly $325,000 per unit.
Per unit.
Yes, something like that.
You said family. I thought I heard family. So this is not single unit? Are we at, what's the combination of units available?
These are all one-bedroom units. These are all one-bedrooms.
So it's not a family, it's one unit
These are one-bedroom units, so they would have,
at $300,000?
yes,
I want to hear you say that, though.
yes.
Okay.
And they're rental, Steve, they're not going to be selling them. I think that's what Mark said.
Yeah.
That's what it costs them.
And I want to be clear, too, the apartment building is not just units. It's going to have amenities. It's going to have supportive service offices, social supportive service offices that will help guide the residents through their challenges, economic and personal and health-related. There's going to be a community room that has a integrated community kitchen. There's going to be bike racks. There's going to be a courtyard that offers opportunities for socializing and community integration for low-income residents that otherwise probably feel disconnected and isolated apart from their community. And we'll have, there's also going to be a flex space. We haven't decided whether it's going to be a fitness room or another sort of common area room for computer and digital literacy services. So when I say the cost, I just want to be clear that you understand it's a community. It's an apartment community designed for your low-income residents in the city of Erie.
Anything else, Selena? Ed? Is there anyone else to speak here on, is there anybody else here to speak in favor of the variance? You'll have to be sworn in? Okay.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Name and address?
Good afternoon, Kim Thomas, 5351 Zessinger Road, McCain. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here to speak in favor of the proposed variance here that are being set before you this afternoon. I'm come to you as the Executive Director of Infinite Erie. For those of you who are not familiar, Infinite Erie is coordinating inclusive growth strategies throughout Erie County. And some of those inclusive growth strategies you're hearing about here today. We're implementing Erie's investment playbook, which again, for those of you who may not be familiar, is a compilation of about 35 transformational investment opportunities that the investment playbook was informed by reviewing dozens of strategic plans that have been created over the years. It was also informed by about 50 or so stakeholders, community and economic development stakeholders. So I'm here to speak in favor of this variance here today. As we found throughout implementing the investment playbook as a strategy for Erie County, we've had a number of practitioners come together to really identify, specifically within a Neighborhoods and Main Streets portfolio, opportunities for investment, again, to, as you've heard here today, to ensure that the city of Erie and Erie County has adequate access to safe, affordable, quality housing opportunities. This is one of several initiatives that has been put forth by those who are working boots on the ground throughout the community to improve the lives of the citizens of Erie County. And the investment playbook as such has brought about this coordinated effort throughout really what we've identified as the Erie housing continuum. So we're working to support initiatives that provide quality housing that are affordable to individuals and families, that support residents that need permanent supportive housing, also around workforce housing developments, and certainly market rate housing developments as well. So again, from Infinite Erie's standpoint, as we work to implement the investment playbook, this is an initiative that was essentially born out of that community-informed investment playbook. And again, when I say community-informed, informed by dozens of strategic plans that have been created and adopted over the years. So I appreciate your time this afternoon and ask for your favorable approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else to speak in favor of the variance?
Good afternoon. I'm Karen Billowith, President of Erie Community Foundation.
Yeah.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. I do. Again, good afternoon. My name is Karen Billowith. I'm the president of Erie Community Foundation. And the Community Foundation has been supportive of Infinite Erie. You just heard about Infinite Erie from Kim Thomas. Since its inception, we have been supporting the work to identify the ways that we can promote inclusive growth strategies in our community. And one that has been top of interest for the Community Foundation is creating affordable housing throughout our community. And you've heard about a continuum of housing, and that means to us everything from supportive housing to affordable housing, workforce housing, and market rates. So the Community Foundation is interested and supportive of this project because it really does create an opportunity for all residents of our community to be safely housed. And we see at the Community Foundation that this is really important to the other outcomes that we are seeking to see in our community, including workforce development, education, and opportunities for all of our residents. So it's a critical component. We've been partnering with the Hammett Health Foundation on this project since its inception because just like the Hammett Health Foundation, we also see this as a healthcare issue in our community.
Thank you. Anybody else to speak in favor of the variance?
Good afternoon, Boo Haggerty, but I guess we'll be formal and say Charles Haggerty. So
You were sworn in, Charles?
I will do that right now.
All right.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do. So Charles Haggerty, 5953 Mystic Ridge, Erie, PA 16506, work address 100 State Street, Erie, PA. I work as the president of the Hammett Health Foundation. I'm a member of the leadership team of UPMC Hammett. We have been looking at housing as a health issue for a number of years now at UPMC Hammett and believe that quality, affordable housing is in desperate need in this community. Thus, our foundation, in collaboration with the Erie Community Foundation, in collaboration with Infinite Erie, in collaboration with the Health and Human Services of Erie County and the county executive, in collaboration with the mayor's office and city council, have talked quite a bit about how we continue to increase the inventory. So much so that our foundation started a brand new community development corporation called BUILD. In the BUILD Community Development Corporation, what we really feel is what we need to do is to build quality, affordable housing in this community, among other things. But we do know that a healthy place to live leads to much healthier outcomes when you see your physician, when you come to our hospital, when you get the treatment that you need. Because of this, we really looked at best practice in how do you have density, but also how do you do it in pockets of the area. We believe this is the first of many projects that we hopefully won't have to come to you because they are zoned the way we need them, but there could be times we're coming back to you to say that the BUILD Community Development Corporation would like to expand our footprint as well and do it within the guidelines that you and the community have set up for us. But to that end, best practice for supportive housing like this was to partner with CHN. So I want to thank Mark and applaud all our folks in Cleveland who have done a remarkable job of doing this in Cleveland. And what we want to do is replicate that model right here in Erie. The location that we purchased, that the BUILD Community Development Corporation purchased, that school district property that was spoken about, is the ideal location in terms of where to put supportive housing. And really just to get this started, in a perfect world, that 50 is that sweet spot, is that number. So we know we're asking you to go outside the lines a little bit, but we truly believe that this community is going to benefit tenfold, and that neighborhood will benefit tenfold with a beautiful apartment building, a beautiful dwelling that is adjacent to our downtown with amenities to services for the population living there. And we just really respectfully and formally ask that you approve this today. And we will prove throughout the process in the next 3, 5, 7, 10 years that we can, together collectively, this group and many others with us, really start to enhance the quality and affordability of housing in the city of Erie. So with that, I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else to speak in favor of the variance? Is there anyone here that opposes the variance? Is there anyone here that opposes the variance? Last call. Anybody oppose the variance? Thank you.
Chairman?
Yes.
I just wanted to have a very brief summation, if the board wouldn't mind.
Okay.
Just on the legal points of our variance. Just give me 2 minutes and I'll be in and out.
I'm going to time you, Tim.
I said at the very beginning, I said there's two kinds of variances, all right? And that's sort of the important thing here. There's a use variance and there's a dimensional variance. And the reason that's important is because there are a subtly different legal standard is associated with dimensional variances. There's a lesser quantum of proof, or amount of evidence that is needed in order to show an entitlement to a dimensional variance. Because the idea is that the applicant is really just seeking a reasonable adjustment of the zoning ordinance as opposed to a whole-scale use change. In addition, with regard to a dimensional variance, zoning boards are permitted to consider the economic detriment to the applicant if the variance was denied. And we had testimony with regard to that issue. Under your zoning ordinance, we have to show a hardship. And Mike Sanford testified about the uniquely shaped, irregularly shaped lot. And your ordinance itself talks about irregularity, narrowness, or shallowness of lot size. That's exactly what we have, and that is our hardship. And because of that hardship, we can't develop an economically viable, affordable housing project. We, of course, have not created this hardship. It's not a self-created hardship, and it's the minimum variance that will afford us the relief to build this wonderful project. Based on the evidence that we've presented this afternoon, there is a sufficient legal basis to grant the variance. And we are here to ask you to exercise your discretion to approve this very worthy project. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You were under 2 minutes. Ed and Selena, I don't think we need to huddle up on this, do you? I mean, is there anything to discuss before we vote? All right, we're going to call for the vote.
Okay, so to approve, let's take the vote from Ms., you're abstained.
Is it 2 votes or 1?
2. Isn't it 2?
2.
You wanted
2 separate
two
ones.
separate? Okay, so we can start with the dimensional for section 205.2, which is the front yard setback on Peach Street. It is supposed to be 13 feet, plus or minus 5 feet, but it is being asked to be 210 feet proposed. So, Ms. King?
I vote to approve.
Mr. Dawson?
Vote to approve.
Mr. Johnson?
Vote to approve.
Okay, Ms. Genshin is abstained from these votes. For the second portion, this would be to allow 50 dwellings instead of 44. Ms. King?
Approved.
Mr. Dawson?
Approve.
Mr. Johnson?
Approve.
Congratulations. Motion to approve. Okay, and then if anybody has any questions, permitting, applications, just let me know after the meeting. Okay, thank you, board.
Thank you.